Spring in the Pacific Northwest is truly a magical time, from dramatic waterfalls to early wildflowers. My next guest says spring is a great time of year to get a jump start on the hiking season. She's here to highlight 5 of her favorite hikes to do in spring from her popular guidebook, Day Hiking Mount Rainier. Please welcome nature photographer, author, and seasoned backpacking guide, Tami Asars. Hello.
Hi, Kelly. Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, I love hiking, and I'm really excited to hear your top 5 favorite hikes. But first, I want to ask you, how did you even get into writing about guidebooks?
Well, you know, I've lived in Washington my whole life. I come from a long line of people who love the outdoors, so it was sort of the love of the outdoors meets the love of writing, and the marriage of the two just turned into the perfect chapter for a career for my life. And so, so I'm the author of 5 going on 7 guidebooks.
Going on 7, wow.
Of mountaineers books specifically.
Incredible.
And I've just done a ton of hiking. I've explored most of Washington's backcountry, and I've also a triple crowner, which I don't know if you know what that is.
Don't.
That's hiking the 3 most prominent trails in the United States. So the Pacific Crest Trail, the Continental Divide Trail, and the Appalachian Trail. So a lot of time out there marinating and in nature and talking to marmots and
You're a
squirrels.
pro. You're a true expert. So I want to get to then your favorite spring hikes. Number 1, Trail of the Shadows Loop. What is this one?
Yeah, so Mount Rainier just has such a beautiful there's so many options there. The Trail of the Shadows is a nice short leg stretcher, but what I really love about it is it's easy to get to, and in the springtime, it's one of the lowland hikes that you can get to and see a lot of the history. Usually there's not too much snow, if any snow in the spring, so This is great. It's perfect if you have little kids. It has a lot of history. There's a really old cabin there that was built by Elkane Longmire, who is James Longmire, sort of the founder in that area. It was his son that built the cabin. And then he actually had a hotel there, which was really crazy. Now it's all grown in by trees, but the hotel had a lot of mineral hot springs and things, and back then they thought those had healing properties.
Interesting.
Yeah, so the hotel was based on that. It was a mineral springs resort. That is long gone, but you can still see a lot of the structure from when that was there. So your mind can kind of go back in time in the history and think about like what was life like back then. In
the history lesson.
Yeah, in the late 1800s, right before it became a national park.
Awesome. Okay, so we got to get to number 2, Carter and Madcap Falls. Tell me about this one.
Beautiful waterfalls. That's the little log bridge there over the Nisqually River. It's a great hike to go to if you love to see like cascading waterfalls, beautiful forest, lots of western red cedar, Douglas firs, just a gorgeous, gorgeous area. And this time of year in the spring, this one is particularly great because a lot of water is coming off the mountain, and so you're going to see those waterfalls kind of at their prime.
Very visual. Okay, hike number 3, I don't know how I'm going to decide. Silver Falls Loop. I'll do them all.
Oh man, I love this one. Okay, so one of the cool things before we get to the waterfall, which is kind of the main feature, is did you know we have orchids in the Pacific Northwest?
Oh my gosh, no.
Yes, we have orchids. This one is called a calypso orchid or a fairy slipper. It's like a needle in a haystack to find it, but you can find it on this hike. So you have to be really careful where you step because they're real low to the ground.
Okay.
And they kind of hide in the forest duff and things. They're just absolutely magnificent little flowers. And I always get so giddy when I see them because they're, like I say, they're hard to find. But obviously take lots of pictures and look with your eyes instead of your hands because they rely on a certain fungal situation in the soil to be able to propagate. So they're very sensitive to any changes.
So leave them be.
Leave them be. And then this one is actually the waterfall itself. When you're standing there on the bridge, you're right in the middle of the action. This massively, you know how sometimes you can feel waterfalls just thundering in your chest? That's what it feels like to be standing in this very spot where the photo was taken there. And it kind of comes through this canyon, and it is just magnificent. You'll want to stay a long time when you visit that one.
Okay, that's like star that one. Although the next one, Kelly Butte, what a name. Okay.
Yeah, so once upon a time, we used to have about 600 lookout towers on our peaks, and now because of the wilderness acts and things over the years, we don't have that many. But Kelly Butte is one of these really cool ones. This one is actually just outside the park, but it is in the vicinity, and you can see it just has this magnificent view of Rainier. And so it was replaced. It used to be a cupola cabin. It was replaced in 1950 as an L4 lookout tower, which is kind of the classic lookout tower we all know. And if you get up there at sunset, you get just this beautiful view of the mountain with lots of rays of like sunlight and things just sort of lighting up the horizon. It's just it's a gorgeous place.
Is that a place that you can like spend the night or no?
It's not available for rent or camping in the area, but it is a really great, it's easy, fairly easy to get to. Lots of forest roads to get in there, but you know, a pedestrian car can do it if you go slowly, so you can get in and out pretty easily. So,
okay, and our last hike we want to talk about Ranger Falls, Green Lake.
Yeah, so this area of the park isn't as popular. It just doesn't get as many visitors, which is part of the reason that it's so special, because you can find a lot of solitude up in there, and that's in the northwest corner of the park where the Carbon River Valley is. And if you follow the old former Carbon River Road that leads up to Ipsit Creek Campground, you'll find this hike. First, you get to walk down this spectacular road. And we don't have a lot of wildfires in that area of the park, so the trees are massive and you just feel tiny. And then you get to the waterfall is just absolutely spectacular. And this time of year, again, with that snow melt, all these waterfalls are just popping and gorgeous. And then you get up to an alpine lake. So I like to think of Mount Rainier as kind of like a giant art gallery, you know, and in the center is this beautiful focal point of this crazy beautiful stratovolcano. And all around the edges are these amazing waterfalls and wildflower meadows, and you have, you know, alpine lakes. There's just something to see for everybody in every season. And spring is pretty magical there too. You get a lot of migratory birds, a lot of big changes coming around.
Oh my God. Yeah. I could talk about this forever.
I know,
I'm so
fun.
excited. I want to get out then and experience all of this. Thank you so much. People will have to pick up your book for tips. We so appreciate you being here.
Yeah, absolutely. It was great. Thank you for having me.
Of course.